If you have been maintaining the faith, keeping the faith to the point where you are starting to feel crazy, like, did I even hear God? Did I make this all up? Like, am I delusional? Am I crazy? Oh my goodness. If you have felt like that, or if you're currently feeling like that, yeah, this video right here, gather here, gather here. This video is for you. Okay. So if you have any distractions right now, get them out the way. Because when you begin to listen to something that's truly going to set you free or really help you in a very powerful way, this is when the enemy begins to try to confuse you or set up some kind of distraction so that you don't get the full power of it. So I'm pre warning you now, right? So you're going to truck through and make sure you receive what I believe God has for you today. So, if you're new here, my name is Michelle. I'm a faith based coach, and I want to welcome you to the Boss Babe Sanctuary. So, let's get into this. One of the questions I get asked is, Michelle, how do you maintain your faith when things just aren't going the right way? When things are going just completely opposite of what you believe, of what you declared, and what you feel like God has said to you? Listen, if there's anyone that knows how that feels, it is me. I remember one time specifically, I was having a conversation with my sister. This is a few years ago, and I was believing God for something. And it got to the point where I started questioning my sanity. And I'm like, am I crazy? Did God actually say this to me? Did I make all of this up? And I remember saying to my sister, listen, and first of all, I went on a fast. So that's one of the things that that's one of the first things right there for you, fast. I went on a fast to seek God's voice about this and what he has to say. And I heard back from him, and I went to my sister and I told my sister what I heard God say, because I was already in the midst of going through things. And I'm like, this is not making any sense. And when God spoke a word to me, I said, listen, God spoke a word to me, and he said that this is happening quick. It's going to happen in a matter of a few months. And I said, and I believe him. I said, however, because I've been believing God and things have been looking crazy, I'm just going to let you know right now, this is also going to be the opportunity to find out if I'm crazy or not. And I said to her, if this happens in the time frame that he says, we're all good. Like, I'm all in faith wise, right? I said, however, if it doesn't, I'm going to stop talking about God. And she's like, what? Which was shocking for her, because she knows how much my faith is like a part of who I am. And I said, no, because I don't want to lead people astray. And if I think I'm hearing God and clearly things are going opposite of what it is, or I heard him say something and didn't happen what he said, then I need to shut up. Like, that was like, I need to shut up, and I need to, get help, and I need to figure out, what voice I'm hearing, what's going on, and then move from there. That's what I said to her. And I waited. I waited. And the very thing that God said was going to happen is what occurred. So I called my sister and I like, look, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. So that part, number one, fasting, when things don't look like it's going the way that it's supposed to look, one of the ways I keep my faith is going back to God, right? It's no different than you're in a relationship with someone. If you are in a relationship with someone, and let's say you're struggling with some insecurities, right? When you have an unhealthy way of coping, what you might do is run away from the person. So it's like, okay, I'm starting to feel insecure internally. So I'm not going to answer your phone calls, or I'm not going to speak up, or I'm not going to give you affection, or I'm not going to nurture this relationship because I believe more in my insecurities, and my insecurities are bringing up feelings of mistrust. So I'm not going to trust you in this situation. The other thing that a more healthy person may do with healthier coping mechanisms is that they may be honest. They're going to go to their partner and they're going to say, listen, like, I am feeling very insecure right now. And these are the thoughts that I have, and these are the feelings that I have. And they're going to not allow their ego to get in the way. They're going to not allow shame and discomfort to get in the way. And they're going to allow themselves to experience the possible rejection or the reassurance that this person may give them. But there's a level of vulnerability that they're going to operate in to allow whatever to come past to come past. And that's where many of us have an issue with, is that vulnerability. So when you allow yourself to be vulnerable with your partner, then what you're saying is like, this is the area that I'm insecure. And now you're allowing them to handle that in their healthy or unhealthy way. The great part about having a relationship with God is that when you are vulnerable in that way, He's always going to show up as a healthy partner. Always. So it always makes sense if you're feeling uneasy, if you're feeling insecure, if you're feeling like things don't make sense. The solution is not to run away or get further away. The solution is, what do I need to do to get in your presence so that you can speak to this place in me? So, my question to you is, do you trust God or are you struggling to trust God? Because oftentimes we may think that we're struggling to maintain faith, but what we really are doing is we're struggling to trust. We're struggling to trust because it's easy to think that everything is collapsing around me. Oh my goodness, I can't have faith, or my faith is struggling right now because things are collapsing around me. But the definition of faith is trusting that He's going to do what He said He's going to do despite what's happening around you. So, really, your faith needs to be strengthened to the point where it gets to the despite how you feel, despite what you see, despite what you think, getting that reassurance, right? Now, oftentimes we can give ourselves that. And that's the whole point of fasting and praying and going into your word and encouraging yourself, doing all that so that you can maintain it. But when you can't maintain it, or when what's happening around you is so tough, it's so hard. It's so hard. You might be facing some things that feel catastrophic right now. And it's like, listen, encouraging myself is not easy right now. Well, then you need reassurance. So where are you going to get that reassurance? You're going to get that through fasting. You're going to get that through praying. You're going to get that through having that conversation. But I'm being intentional when I say fasting, because when you draw near to God, fasting is like an act of, I want to say a holy desperation. It's a level of determination, right? It's like, yeah, I might send you a text, right? Like praying, I can send you a text. You're going to receive the text, you're going to read it. But when I need a response right now, I can't wait for you to get the text and reply on your own time. I need you to reply right now. So I'm picking up that phone and I need to hear your voice because I need a response right now. Fasting to me is you actually picking up the phone and calling God. Praying is more like texting. It's effective. But how bad do you need your answer? Like, how bad do you need your breakthrough? Because depending on how bad you need it is how you need to show up. Because to me, the next thing after fasting is actually dying and seeing Him yourself. You follow what I'm saying? So that's the closest you're going to get in terms of communication with God, is the communication you get through fasting. So when I need answers and I need responses and I need that strengthening, my go to is fasting. That's number one. The next thing you're going to want to understand is that you're struggling with trusting. So you need to get very honest with yourself. So something I practice in my faith walk is honesty and vulnerability. If I don't trust God and I have a real reason why I don't trust Him, something happened to me, God, you said this, or whatever it may be, I've been let down, blah, 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 blah. Like I am talking to Him about that. I'm journaling about that. I'm in full communication with Him about that. And because I don't hide those inner parts of me from God, I'm able to experience such breakthrough internally and mentally and emotionally and spiritually because I'm not hidden. Now, I might be very private when it comes to matters of the world. Like, depending on the access you have to me, is how much you have knowledge of me. You follow, like how much you understand me. But when it comes to me and God, those barriers are not there in that way. I am an open book with Him. And anything I have not had a conversation with Him about is because I haven't discovered it in myself yet. But the moment I discover it, oh, it's up for discussion, it's up for conversation, because I want to have that wholeness in my relationship with Him, because I want to be fully restored, fully whole. I'm someone that has gone through a lot of things in life. I'm someone that has gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, right? A lot of suffering. That was my portion in the former years of my life, right? But the latter will be better than the former, right? I've gone through a lot of that. And what I've learned through all that is holding on to that stuff adds more weight. Holding on to that stuff adds more misery. Holding on to that stuff adds more pain. And because I have that clarity, because I have that understanding and I'm clear on that, I don't hold on. So I'm always aiming and looking to release. So when I figure something out, okay, how do I release it? How do I let it go? How do I move on? Because my joy and my peace and that love and living in beauty and harmony and ease and serenity and all of that, that's more important to me than whatever that story is, whatever that memory is, whatever that reminder is. Experiencing, because I deserve it, right? When you are somebody that has gone through a lot of trauma, you have to recognize that you deserve beauty, you deserve peace, you deserve joy, you deserve to have a good life. Like you deserve that, right? You deserve it regardless as a child. But if you've definitely gone through some stuff, you better feel very strongly like, I deserve this and I'm getting this, right? So because I feel so strongly about that, I'm not willing to allow other things that I've gone through in the past to take up space because I want this version of me to take up space in this version of my life. And in order to make sure that it's the new version of me, right? My higher self that's taking up space and enjoying herself, I have to deal with the things that the past version of me, right, needs to confront and deal with. And I need to go through the process to let her heal. Talking about the process, the next thing is trusting the process. Trusting the process is key to maintaining faith when everything is not going right. You have to understand that things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you. A lot of us, I'll use myself for an example, a lot of us don't necessarily have the mentors, or we didn't get the parents or the community that was going to give us all the things and lessons that we need to learn, right? Let's use this. So you may not have had all the resources and tools you need to learn how to manage money. You may not had all the tools and resources and the people that were going to be there to help you learn how to manage money. You don't have the, hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in a investment broker where you don't have to worry about these things. They handle everything for you. You literally have to learn these things yourself. So because you have to learn these things yourself, right? Where are you going to get these lessons? Well, one of the easiest ways to learn a lesson is by making a mistake, right? So you say to God, I want to be a better steward of my money. Like this is important. And also for where he's taking you, that's a very important skill that you need to have. But you're struggling currently and you don't have the resources, you don't have access to the community, right? The relationships, the partnerships, the network that is going to help you get better at this without having to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that you may not have currently. So what then now are you just not going to learn how to be a good steward? No, some things are going to happen in life that are going to still develop that in you. Now, obviously, we hate the experience. I would much rather, me personally, I would much rather pay a coach that has gone through that crap and have them teach me than have me go through all of that stuff by myself. And then now I have to go learn the lesson in it because 9 times out of 10, people most of the times end up feeling like a victim and they don't even go back to learn the lessons. They end up being pissed off that they even went through this thing to begin with and they remain in that state, right? However, if you're allowing the Holy Spirit to work through you, he will use that thing for your good. So what the enemy intended for evil, God will use for good. So everything that you're going through, if you really look at it, it's developed something in you, something you needed anyways. And unfortunately, that situation and that circumstance is the way you're going to get it. Now, does this mean that God is sending, this is his thing? He's sending these horrible experiences towards you just for you to learn the lesson? No. However, he's going to allow something to happen if it's going to happen for your good anyways. Like if my child needed to learn, for example, just giving you a prime example, if my child needed to learn to stop kicking kids at the park, using this as an example, and I can clearly see, and I know that this is going to be an issue, and they kicked another kid, and you might sit there as a parent, depending on kind of parent you are, you might sit back and you see that they kicked a kid, and this kid is going to hit your child. Some parents, you might hurry up and run and save your kid from that hit, but some parent might say, you know what, I've tried to tell him over and over again to stop doing this, so yeah, I'm gonna let him get this one little hit. Doesn't look like, you assess it, doesn't look like it's gonna damage him, it doesn't look like he's gonna do it, but I'm gonna let him face this bit of consequence right here because it's gonna teach him the lesson I've been trying to teach him. So your own actions put you in that scenario, but I'm going to allow your actions for you to face the consequence of it. I'm still going to be cautious, and I'm still going to make sure my grace is there to make sure that, you're not being harmed or hurt, but I'm going to allow it to happen to a certain level and a certain degree, because ultimately at the end of the day, I know the lesson is more important than your pain in this small little moment because of the consequences that you faced. And if you assess all the things that have happened in your life that have been painful, that have been so hurtful, if you go back and look in the lesson in them, there is a beautiful, valuable lesson that is in that is going to add essentially like jewels to your crown of the version of you that you're becoming. They're gems. They are genuinely gems. So that's another thing, is trusting the process and understanding that the process is not happening at you, right? It's not happening against you, it's happening for you, for you. So that piece is very critical there. And lastly, the most important key is you have to believe in God's love. In order to maintain faith when things are not going the way that they're supposed to go, you have to believe in God's love. And this is why when things aren't going the way that they need to go, I always believe in having a healing journey simultaneously with it, having some kind of self care routine, having some kind of introspection that you're doing, healing that you're doing, not just healing that you're doing internally with yourself, but also healing that you're doing in terms of your mindset and the way that you see God and your relationship with God, really going through that process. And the reason it's so key and the reason it's so important is because if you have faith, faith doesn't come from us. Faith is a gift that God gave us. Before we had faith, it was just simply commands. It was simply God said this and we did it and we yielded the fruit. But after the fall, faith is what we needed to still have that connection, that relationship with God. So faith is grace. Faith within itself is grace. And I can go deeper into that in, a totally different video. But faith is grace. That's what literally faith within itself is grace. So now you have this faith, you have this grace, and you want to apply it and you want to use it, but you're struggling. You have to believe that the person that has given you this faith, you have to believe that the person that has given you this grace and has attached a vision to it, has attached a future to it, you have to believe that this person is for you truly, truly. Because when you believe that fully, then you are able to go through whatever it is that you're going through with more courage, with more positivity, with more confidence, with more assurance that, yeah, this is a version of a reality, but this is not the fullness of reality. I'm looking at this right now, but this is not what God promised me. So this is just an image. And I can choose to believe in this picture, or I can believe in the vision that He's given me. You have a choice. Faith is an opportunity. It generally is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for you to maintain belief and the vision that He's given you, or choose to forfeit it and believe in what you're looking at. And I genuinely desire the vision that God has given me. I genuinely desire what I see within myself, what I know I can manifest, and what I know I'm becoming, what I know I'm creating. Like, I genuinely desire that. So that causes me to reject, right, the experience that I'm having. Now, does that mean that reality doesn't hurt, especially when you're in moments where it's not going the right way? No. Does that mean that fear doesn't come up? No. Right? Does that mean that certain consequences don't happen? No. But number one, there is a grace that is so sufficient. And I have to trust in that grace like nobody's business, right? I fast, I pray, I do all that, all the things that I mentioned. But then I allow myself to rest. Like, I allow myself to rest in the confidence and the assurance that it's all working out for my good and He will never leave me nor forsake me. Now, in the beginning, He'll never leave me or forsake me was like a mantra. It was like, He'll never leave me or forsake me. He'll never leave me or forsake me. It's like, when you're sitting on the boat and the boat seems like it's going to tip over and, all this stuff is happening. You're like, oh my gosh, no, He'll never leave me nor forsake me. He'll never leave me nor forsake me. He'll never leave me nor forsake me. Right. And you're doing that over and over. You're rocking. You're scared. At first, in the beginning, it was like that. And as time goes on, you're like, wait, He'll never leave me nor forsake me? Hold on. He'll never leave me nor forsake me. And it's almost like you're having these like moments of like, really starting to understand what that means. Wait, he'll never leave me nor forsake me. So you start you start writing it into your story right now. So even with this going on right now, he'll never leave me nor forsake me. Okay, he'll never leave me nor forsake me. And you start going through that. And then eventually it turns into like, oh, he'll never leave me nor forsake me. Oh, okay. He'll never leave me nor forsake me. And then before you know it, you are a ferocious lion. He will never leave me nor forsake me. And that's the point you want to get to. You want to get to the point where you're a ferocious lion internally. Like, he will never leave me nor forsake me. He will never leave me nor forsake me. But you have to press through. And pressing through is what got me to that point where I can be that ferocious lion. I look so like nice and dainty right now, right? I know. I'll chew your head off and spit it right back at you because he'll never leave me nor forsake me. It's a confidence that I can walk in now. It's a confidence that I'm reassured in now because I was built up in it. I was trained in it. And it's so funny. This is the funniest part about it. The very thing that you're going through right now, the very way that life is not working out and it seems so scary, that is what's developing faith. Literally. That thing that you are panicking about right now, that thing, whether it's a letter that you got, right? A bill that you've received, a doctor's report that you received, just anything, doesn't matter. That thing, trusting and believing and doing all that, that's the very thing that's going to build up your faith. And then you're going to experience seeing God come through because you held on. I love how Jesus says in everything that he does, he said, your faith has done this. And you're going to realize like every single time you're tempted to release and you're tempted to let go, it's like the enemy saying, you sure you want to trust God? You sure you want to trust it? And it's going to be an opportunity to decide, do you want to keep holding on to that vision or do you want to forfeit it? And that's what I love about the world and people, certain mantras of the world. Don't get me wrong, the world is off the chain, but I do love when they say Delulu is the Salulu because it's a version of faith. It's a version of faith. Like I'm going to believe in what I believe in so much that I don't care. I believe that my Delulu is the Salulu to everything, right? Now, am I encouraging you to be Delulu? Hell no. That is not what I'm encouraging you to do. But I do recognize that the Delulu is the Salulu. It's a declaration of faith. It's a declaration of faith. It's believing in that Delulu so strongly that you believe that it's the solution to whatever you're looking at. So you have to believe that, holding on to that vision and holding on to what God has said to you. Because if Delulu is the Salulu, can be from the world standpoint, if operating in faith that way can create those kind of results, how much more you who's standing on the word of God? How much more you who is standing on the word of the creator of heaven and earth? Again, I talk about it all the time. Manifesting isn't all of us. It's in our core DNA. It's our hard drive as a human. It doesn't matter if we're always manifesting. We either manifest in faith or manifest in fear, but we're always manifesting. So even if you decide to put your faith in a carrot, you're going to manifest. You're going to manifest because that's the power within faith itself. That's what it does. And the gifts and callings of God are irrevocable. So he's given us the gift of faith. We can apply it to anything and yield results because the faith itself is the power. That's why every time Jesus healed somebody, what did he say? Let it be done according to your faith. Your faith has done this. Your faith has done this. He didn't say, I do this. He said, your faith has done this. So you could take your faith and apply it to anything else, and it's going to yield results. But it's the amount of conviction that is behind your faith. The amount of conviction, not the size of your faith, the conviction of your faith. The conviction of your faith. So work on your conviction. Whatever it is that you believe in God for, you have to pour into that. You have to nurture it. You have to you have to become convinced of it. Like it's impossible for it not to happen. I am serving a God who doesn't lie. It's impossible for it not to happen. So regardless of how things look, and it's almost you begin to look angry because you begin to see like, wait, the enemy's trying to get me to believe in a lie right now. I don't care what this reality is. I'm not believing this reality. This still does not mean that God is not here for me. This still does not mean that God is not showing up. Like he is going to do it. If he said he's going to do it, he's going to do it. And you begin to find scriptures that speak to what he said. Yeah. So you have to put the work in. You have to put the work in. So I think more than anything, above all else, I put the work in. I put the work in to not let the enemy steal my faith, pour water on it, snuff it out. No, because I need my faith to blaze. I need it to be that light. I need it to be that portal that attracts, that vortex that attracts everything that I desire and everything that God called me to into my life. I refuse to allow this thing, right? It's like when you watch any sci-fi movies, they talk about these black holes in the universe, and these black holes are trying to suck people in. No, I turn my faith into a stronger force that's pulling. And some of us come from some very dark backgrounds, some, very, demonic strongholds that are operating like these dark holes that want to pull us into something. And obviously, I talk about again breaking those demonic covenants and curses. But then after that, if you just break the demonic covenant and curse, you could just be floating around in space. Okay, you've closed that dark hole that's trying to suck you in. Okay, you close that. But now you're just an astronaut just floating in space, right? I'm hoping you guys can see the visual here. You're just floating in space. Now you have to actually get and land on planet Earth, right? You have to land somewhere. How do you get there? Well, now you have to use the power of your faith to direct you and to guide you to that place. So now you have to create another force, a magnetic force that brings you towards the very thing that you believe God called you to. That is faith. That is faith. Faith is how you make that kingdom come that will be done on earth as it is in heaven. You turn your faith into an anchor and you feed it and you make it stronger and stronger and stronger until you see your whole life transform around you. And it begins small step by small step. It begins saying to God, God, today I believe you're going to say something to me. And I'm looking for it. I'm seeking it. And then you hear him in that you turn on the TV or you turn on the radio, and it's the very thing that you're asking for. A friend calls, I was thinking about you. And he showed up. And then now it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you get more confidence, you get more courage, and you keep using. You don't just let yourself have those moments. You take that as ammunition and you take that as a building block to build on. I love when I see people leave comments, especially when they feel like social media is working in their favor, giving them things that they want. And I see these comments on social media say, I built this timeline brick by brick. I love when I love when people leave those kind of comments. I built this brick by brick, right? Like I have, designed this brick by brick. Well, you have to design it brick by brick. Every single time you have those moments and those experiences where your faith has been activated brick by brick, use that faith to get you to the next place, to the next place, to the next place, until before you use it, you've created this amazing pathway between you and heaven. So, with that being said, what typically is getting in our way from doing that is survival mode. It's survival mode. I know. It's survival mode. Like 99% of the time, what's standing in our way from being able to see the full powers of our faith is survival mode. So if that is you and if that's where you're struggling, I have a program called Beauty for Ashes. It's literally created for that because when I did struggle, this is the process that I had to go through to break free from that. So I could be this ferocious lion and walk fully in my faith, right? So I recommend that for you. I have a coupon code for you, Freedom, that will give you 48% off. So you can see that link down in the description. I'll also put a QR code for you guys that want to take advantage of that. Now, if you would like to go deeper into really just honing in, understanding your faith transformation, like really becoming the woman that God called you to be. You're tired of standing in your own way and your potential being blocked. Go ahead and join me. I also have a 12-week group coaching community called Freedom by Design. Enrollments is closing soon here. We're going to begin November 18th. So if you click the link in the bio, I'll put the QR code for you here as well. You'll be able to complete the application and sign up for that as well. So Guys, I appreciate you. I love you. If this is something that you want to talk about further, if you have any more questions, go ahead, leave them down in the comments. I love hearing and seeing comments from you guys and you guys talking about your journey and your transformation. I love that. And you're also supporting other people in the community. So I thank you guys for bringing in your personal value to the Boss Babe Sanctuary because it's important for us to keep growing a community here that helps support women who are on their transformation journey. So I love you guys. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.